Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Wednesday. It's actually 4:30. Got up at 4. I'm still on old time. I don't know how you guys are doing this, but when we have that daylight savings time thing, it takes a while for this old dog. As I get older, it takes even longer to convert over to the new time. So I'm still on old time, but early for new time, if that makes any sense. All right, I appreciate all your comments. On a lot of you guys enjoy seeing these every morning. And I'm not concerned about running out of content. My life is content. My everyday experiences is content. Something new walks through the shop doors every day, or something goes on that, you know, makes you go, mmm. So I don't worry so much about running out of content. What I worry about is boring you guys to death of making too many videos to the point of where you don't even want to watch because you know, I don't change things up a lot. I mean, we have different topics and different content, but the same background. I mean, different clothes, of course. I do change my clothes and take showers, but that was a big thing. Was I didn't want to overpost and people get tuned out, I think, if they get overloaded with too much stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I think I mentioned it yesterday. My thought process is if something were to happen to me, you know, whether it be my kids, my grandkids, you guys, you could always go back into the video library that's here on YouTube with my name on it, with our business, and rewatch or watch different episodes that might pertain to something that's going on with you right now. And it's like I got so much stuff to get out, but only so much time to do it, right? But that's not totally true because I enjoy doing this. This is why I do it. It's not monetary based. No, you couldn't pay somebody. You couldn't pay me enough and force me to make me do this unless I wanted to do it. Because the last time I checked, my revenues were enough to get a coffee and a Happy Meal at McDonald's. So, but I enjoy the camaraderie. I enjoy you guys out there to no end, and I'm very appreciative. So that's going to lead us into today's video, and that is the direction I'm going to try to go here and there. And then, is there a God? And before you flip and run the other direction, understand, I am not a Bible pumping preaching Christian, okay? I'm just a down to earth guy that tells you the way it is. All right, we'll be right back. All right, so I think the way I'm going to try to take the channel is so that I don't overload certain people too much. Is, maybe one morning we'll talk business, and the next morning we'll talk, uh, something to do with personal growth or how to overcome, adversity and stuff. And then maybe, off the wall content for another day. And then if there's something that I see you post, of course, that I don't feel that I can, respond well to in a text, a reply, then I will cover that. But it may not be 5 days a week, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm just going to play it by ear, and I think that I have enough people out there that enjoy watching and listening that I'm going to try to do it still every morning and then possibly once on the weekend, which I call the weekend show or Ramblings of an Old Man. Today, we're going to talk about, is there a God? And this was posed to me by one of my grandkids. And I had to sit back and try to explain to him that there is a God, and the way I look at things, all right, is my God does not discriminate. He does not say this group is allowed, but this group isn't, okay? And I come at it with a thought process, I guess you could say. See, now, religion has been used as a fear tactic to control people. That's fact. There have been a lot of lives lost over religion and, who is right and who is wrong. What I do know is whether, you're a minister, rabbi, what have you, is that a lot of it is interpretation. We've talked about this before, in that if I come to 10 of you guys and said, what's the best business way to do this, you would come back with 10 different ways. And this is how I look at people that are, trying to, in the past, the meaning that God had laid down was used by whomever at the time to bend the people to their will. I mean, how many of you people today believe that there's really witches out there? But yet we had the Salem witch trials where a lot of women were killed because of religion. How about the holy wars? How about what's simply going on over here with Israel and Hamas and Palestinians? See, my take on it is it doesn't matter what religion you are, and if you have a different interpretation of who your God is, but I get the sense that we all have the same God. And there's certain times in people's lives that they have a falling out with God because they feel like God has let them down. And then there's another group that just hasn't got time with everything going on to run to church. So they feel that they aren't connected. And that's where I think you're wrong. See, here's the thing. With me, I'll be totally 100% honest with you. I do believe in God, okay? My God is fair. My God, He does not discriminate. And the big thing is my God, I can talk to any dang time I want. I don't need to go through somebody else to talk to God. You don't. We were brought up, we went to church, right? When we were kids, we went to church school, and then we would listen to the minister talk about how his interpretation of God's words were for that Sunday. And then the prior day, I would watch all the cars show up to the Catholic church. And they did like a Saturday evening worship. And then, Catholics can repent their sins, confession. Methodists, doesn't matter. You can be an adulteress and a drunk, and we're okay with you. But it just seems like with religion is used to tear apart other people when religion shouldn't be even thought of as that. God gives us free will to make our own choices, good or bad, all right? And if you've heard me say before, I believe this is hell that we're living right now, okay? And we're here for a reason. We're here to learn something, or teach something, or do something that we didn't do right the last time. So we're redoing it. To me, I don't care whether you believe in Allah and the Buddha and the Pope. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care if it's space aliens that you think is God. That's okay. But what I found with me, because I went away from God for a while and I came back, I had a lot of resentment for him because I couldn't understand why he would allow certain things to happen. And it's because he isn't going to make and do everything for you. You need to do it yourself. He can give you guidance. He can give you somebody to kind of bounce stuff off from. But he's not going to do it for you. And I think that's what a lot of people do is what I see is a lot of people reach out to God during their weakest points, when they're going through the hardest things in their lives. But when they're going through good times, they aren't thanking God for those good times either, where I do. I mean, he's with me every step of the way. But yet, I don't go to church. I don't. I used to growing up, and, be honest with you, I got tired of being dragged over there every Sunday. But to me, going to church is more about a sense of community and camaraderie and as a group than it is religious. It's just a central place for people to get together to just visit and talk about what's going on in their lives among people that have like lives. But what I'm saying is there's no religion that's right or wrong. Whether it be space aliens or Allah. If it works for you, then it works for you. That's the easiest thing I can tell you. Too many people get too wrapped up and, trying to convince you that you need to have a middleman to speak with God. And if I want to speak with God right now, I can. I don't need to speak out loud to him. He can hear you. And I'll tell you, it's a lot easier going through life knowing somebody that has got more power than you is on your side. I've mentioned on bad days, of certain things had happened, that I could put it up to him at night so I could get a good night's sleep. It'd still be there in the morning, of course, but at least I got up, rested, and tackled the problem. But the main point I'm trying to get across is a lot of people will tell you you need to have somebody in the middle help you talk to God, whether it be through confession or through your minister, rabbi, And if that's the way they feel, that's fine, but they're not right either. You don't need any middleman to speak with God. And your God doesn't have to be he. It could be a she. Be any color you want. You know, people get too wrapped up sometimes. And I think this world would be a better place if, a lot of people started turning back to him a little bit and knowing that when they're doing stuff that isn't moral, and they know it's wrong. If they had someone greater than themselves watching over them and they knew that they were being watched, a lot of this stuff that you're seeing right now probably wouldn't be taking place. I talked about when I was a kid and I stole that fishing lure. That was my first and last theft because I got taught a valuable lesson. And it's the same thing with these kids that were doing the Black Lives Matter, the smash and grab, and now they're pro-Hamas. It's the same group of people. And they're trying to tell you that their way is better than your way. And my feeling is if you want to do it your way, that's fine as long as you are not infringing on other people. Okay? Pure and simple. It's not my place to tell you if you're right or wrong. I can say I have a different thought process or I have a different outlook than you, but I'm not going to tell you the way you think, feel, what have you is wrong. I'm not. It's about living and let live. And I think that the sense of family has kind of gone along the wayside too. And it makes me wonder where all the dads are with these kids, the males. But it boils down to basically your relationship with God. It's totally in your court and how you want that relationship to be. Okay? Don't let everybody or anybody tell you, how you should be doing something, okay? Now, I'm not telling you that you need to believe in God. I'm not. That's your choice. I'm just telling you through this is that there are easier ways if you feel like you haven't had time to go to church and thank God for this and thank God for that or be pissed at God, that you don't need to go through all those steps. You can simply do it at any time. And I find myself during the day doing that, thanking God. Because at night, I put everything up to Him and thank Him for a great day, no matter how bad that day was. Every morning I thank Him for another day that my feet hit the grass and I'm standing upright. So I just want you to give it some thought today. Like I told you, I'm not a Bible pumping, preaching Christian. I'm not. I'm saying that you can have your own kind of relationship with whomever you choose. God gives us that free will to choose, whether we believe or not. What I can tell you is for me, it's helped me a lot to have someone greater than me in my court at all times and has helped me along the way. And that I can speak to anytime I want, as often as I want. And I don't just speak to him when things are rough or going south. I also talk to him when things are going great and how appreciative I am. I don't know, maybe this is my thing with God is, letting people know that there's other ways out there to speak with him. Maybe that's what I'm supposed to be doing is teaching, teaching life experience, business, helping others with nothing, looking for nothing in return. But it is thought provoking. I mean, when I work security, I train German Shepherds, and we would go in on facilities, but I had a boss. His name was Harry, and Harry was not a religious man. He was a scholar, and well versed, but not religious. And we used to get into conversations because I used to work nights on that shift. And one of the I remember the one conversation he and I had was about God. And he asked me, he said, "Have you ever read the Bible from front to back?" I said, "No, I haven't." I said, "I can remember in church school, but I don't pull everything from the Bible." He said, "Well, I'll tell you what, Eric." He said, I'm not religious. But he said, "I enjoy reading and, making myself more worldly, I guess you could say." But he said he sat down and he started reading the Bible. Not because for the religious part of it. It's because he looked at it as a book. And he read the book from front to back. And he said it's a great book. Has a lot of great stories, has a lot of great ideas, on who we are and what we should be doing. And just general common sense stuff, to be good to your fellow man and stuff. But he brought that up. He said, everything in the Bible is up to interpretation. So whoever is reading the Bible is going to have a different interpretation than the next guy. And he said a lot of times they go to church so that they're all getting the same interpretation on that verse that the minister's interpretation is. He's telling his flock what his interpretation is, and that his interpretation is right and theirs is wrong. And it got me scratching my head. I'm like, for not being religious, you seem to know quite a bit. We used to have these thought-provoking stuff. I worked from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30 till 7 o'clock in the morning. So we would have in between taking the dogs out and doing our rounds and stuff. We had time to visit. But I'll tell you, it was one of the most eye-opening, refreshing conversations that I ever had with Harry was over the Bible and his take on it. And how fear, God's wrath, is how you control people, is by causing fear because you're fearful of this or you're fearful of that. And he's right. You know, I don't know any more about any other religion than I do the Methodist, you know. But one thing I've found as a common characteristic is whether you're reading a book with Allah, it also says that murder is a sin. But for some reason, Hamas has got a different interpretation of that book than other Muslims, if that makes sense. But in retrospect, we have a lot of different interpretations of our book here. It's all up to interpretation and how to use it to bend the will of the people to get them to conform. And I'm saying that there's other ways to do it without fear. You know, grandfather used to say you can get a lot more done with sugar than you can salt. If you understand what that is. That's an old saying. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. I think you get the general trend of what I'm trying to say is that you get to have your own relationship. If you want that relationship or you don't want that relationship, that's fine. I think the world would be a better place if we all had someone that was greater than ourselves, knowing that they're looking out after us. But it's all about interpretation. And as far as I'm concerned, nobody's right and nobody's wrong. As long as you're not infringing on other people and trying to push people to do things, to each their own. But on that note, you guys have a great day. We'll probably see you here tomorrow morning.